Welcome to North Star Credit Union's Financial Compass podcast, guiding you towards financial wellness. Hometown values, lifelong relationships, worldwide access. We're back. We're ready.
We're back. We're so back. All right. Welcome to the North Star Credit Union podcast. It's good to have you with us again today. Again, I'm Drew with Jesse and Melissa. And today we have another great guest, April, from LSS or Lutheran Social Services. April, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We're so glad you're here.
I'm excited.
When I learned that we had a financial counselor that would give 6 free sessions to North Star Credit Union members, I was like, we all need to take serious advantage of this. And I don't think people know it enough. We just need to scream it from the rooftop. It's such a amazing thing to have in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like somebody who knows how to help you when all of us struggle with our finances. You know what I mean?
Oh, and even if you're not, it's like I tell people, you should go to the doctor annually for a physical, just like you can come to me for a financial physical, just to kind of see how everything is, get a lollipop, pat on the back, whatever you need. Sometimes we need that reassurance of you're doing the right thing. Everything looks good. Your credit is where it's supposed to be, and nobody is tinkering with it or anything, because that's always a concern.
You had me at lollipop. And pat on the back. I like a little pat on the back.
But yes, April, she's a great resource for us here at North Star Credit Union because we do, as you've maybe kind of gathered, we do partner with Lutheran Social Services, and April's one of those great people at LSS that helps us out, helps our members, and has personally helped me. I know a few times I've gone to April, with questions because she seems to be the keeper of all financial knowledge. And so that's why we're excited to have her on the podcast today. Just a great resource. I'm sure that our listeners and viewers will learn a lot from her today. And hopefully they'll know too that she is a great resource in the future. As Jesse was saying, we do partner with them. And as a member of North Star Credit Union, you get 6 free sessions every year with LSS. And we love the fact that we can offer that to our members. And I know as a loan officer, I've had people in, tough situations, and it's always a great option just to suggest and recommend that, you work with someone who is like April and has some knowledge that can help us out. So super excited to have April today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what would be the number one advice that you would give for somebody who is kind of drowning in credit card debt or has a lot of debt? Where do they begin?
That's a great question.
It's a loaded one, but
it is because it's a lot of it depends. But what I always tell people is step number 1 is to stop using the cards. If you want to get out of debt, you got to stop using the cards, because just like if you want to fill a hole, you got to stop digging. So that's kind of step number 1. That's going to help you see where you really are with your finances, what your income really can and cannot cover. Because it's so easy to, I swipe it and I don't remember what what I really spent, or I didn't really pay attention to what the total was. And, by the time the bill comes, I'm not looking at all the individual charges, so by not using it, it forces you to be more mindful of where your money is really going. And then that helps you to make some choices, and not easy choices, but choices that then are in your control.
Do we need to raise our hands if we're guilty of this?
I mean, I'm the first one.
And the interest rate, I think, is what really so growing up, I didn't really fully understand that. And when I was using my credit card, I'd be like, well, no big deal. I can pay that off. I can pay that off. And then, something happens. And I'm like, shoot, now I'm just making the minimum payment, bare minimum. And then pretty soon I'm like, how did this how did this happen? And it's the interest rates and the fine print that gets you.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. And life, like that's the hard part. Like I was listening to your guys' podcast, one of the earlier ones where you guys were talking about vet bills, and like it's so
Yeah.
easy. Like one thing happens and
Yeah.
it's an emergency, it's not expected. You have to turn to that credit card because it's there. But the problem is it's kind of a double-edged sword because it helps, but it creates another bill, so it kind of like it tightens the budget instead of like allows for it to actually,
Yeah.
and then it kind of snowballs from there, or can easily snowball from there.
Okay.
Yeah, debt is tough because I feel like, sometimes we maybe get into debt, purchasing things that maybe we don't need, but we want, and then it starts to rack up. But we also get into debt just for those unplanned expenses at times, and I think that's
Yeah,
unfortunate. It's almost again through no fault of our own. Something happens, and you got to pay for it
exactly.
somehow, and very
Yeah.
easy to put it on the card and worry about it later. And um,
Exactly. And you get in that survival mode where, like
yeah,
you're you had a baby, you got divorced or lost a job or
yeah,
like whatever, like all those things that like it just happens and then you go into like, oh well, it'll get better, so I'm just doing this for now, and then all of a sudden you find yourself like and you're
yeah.
at the bottom of a pit and you don't know how you got there really because it was just like I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So what do
So I
you?
think this is such a good topic because I think it's so prevalent. Would you agree, April? I mean, you're the one that's a contact for all this. It just seems that there's just so much debt in our world today. It's becoming more and more common. That's why I'm excited to
Yes.
have you on the podcast today. I really think this is an important one that hopefully our listeners and viewers will tune into because I just think so many people are in this spot where there's just so much debt and they feel overwhelmed. I don't know if you would agree with that.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yes. I think, I mean, especially right now with where we are in the world, it's just been this kind of like mad, like perfect storm of where, we had COVID where everybody was like offering credit and we kind of felt like we were in this good place even though like there was COVID, we were able to work from home, so it felt like we were saving money, and then we were like, oh well, we're going to help local businesses, so we're going to spend money here, there, and wherever, and then all of a sudden, like now with inflation
Mm,
and everything else, we're kind of seeing where a lot of people that had good credit and were offered credit cards are starting to hit what we call the credit wall, where like all of their stuff is getting maxed and they're not able to borrow
mm,
more.
yeah,
So that's where it's kind of like, they're speeding along and there's just like no more road to go.
So what do
yeah.
you? What do you? I mean, what do you do when you're at kind of that end of the road where there is nowhere else
Yeah.
to go, or what direction do you take? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, and the answer is it really depends. Like, so when I'm working with somebody, when LSS is working with somebody, we help them go through a budget of, here's your income, here's your expenses before debt. So if you didn't have debt, here's what you'd be left with. And that then helps them to see, well, here's what you can put towards debt when you're not using the credit cards. And that helps them to make decisions like, oh, actually, in light of that, I feel like I can reduce expenses. I feel like I can find some extra income doing A, B, or C, or whatever. People are super resourceful. And then that helps them to say, so in light of that, I can address my debt. Or they might look at it and go, I'm doing everything I can, and there's still not enough to address the debt. And then we talk about the options.
What are some of the
So,
options? Sorry.
well, no, that's great, great question. So, we call them the 5 roads or 5 paths to getting out of debt. So it's self payment, Because a lot of people do come to us and they're like, I'm paying on my debt. There just has to be a better way to do it. Like, I've heard about this power payment method. What's going to work best for me? And sometimes people just need to see it visually. So we lay out like, okay, you can pay $200 extra towards your debt. Do you want to tackle the highest interest or the lowest balance? And everybody's like, well, which one's the best? And the reality is, the one that's the best is the one that makes you feel the best. Because as much as people talk about like, oh, money is such a numbers thing, money is way more of an emotional thing. We do what we feel, like that's really what drives us. We spend money because it feels good. We give money because it feels good. Like that's ultimately what's driving us. So what helps us get out of debt is addressing what the stressor is. If the stressor is the number of debts that you're making or the number of payments that you're making towards debts, address the lowest balance because that's going to reduce the number of debts. If you're looking at a card and you're like, I pay $200 towards that card, but after interest, it only drops down $2. Well, that doesn't feel good. And if that's what's annoying you the most, then you address the highest one. So that's the self-payment method or the power payment method approach. I have a lot of people that come to me where all of their debt is on one card. So the best thing to do with that is to work with the creditor themselves, or if they have, just the credit union card, that's the only one that they have, but it has everything on it, and that's one they're struggling with. Working directly with that creditor is usually the best option for them. If they have multiple cards and they're trying to work with creditors directly, it makes it a little bit harder, but if you only have like one or two, it can be the easiest way. There's a lot of temporary programs like internal hardship programs that'll temporarily reduce the interest rate, reduce the payment, and sometimes that's all you need is to get that little bit of footing and be able to move forward, and then when the interest rate goes back up, the payment's gonna kind of like even out to what you were kind of already paying, so it makes you feel like you've made the progress and then you're on stable ground. We do LSS offer what's called a debt management plan. So not a debt settlement, a debt management. It pays the debts off or it works to pay the debts off in full, but it sets the interest rates, sets the minimum payments. It closes the credit card, so kind of like helps people go cold turkey when maybe they're a little too, I don't want to use the word addicted, but it can easily become an addictive habit of just using that credit card, and sometimes they just need to, go cold turkey and stop that. But that can sometimes help because they're making one payment instead of, we see a minimum of 5 to 6 cards that people have. So instead of making 5 to 6 payments throughout the month, they're making one monthly payment. And at that reduced payment, reduced interest rate, they're actually seeing progress, and that can really help. And it gets them paid off in 5 years, whereas if you look at the Truth in Lending's box on most credit card statements, I just looked at a Discover that said if you paid the minimum payment, you'll be paid off in 63 years. That's depressing, for anybody. So, it's self-payments, internal hardship program, debt management plan, loan consolidation might be another option, and then worst case scenario option would be bankruptcy.
So would you say debt, like loan consolidation or debt consolidation, was something like you were talking about, where you put all of it onto one? You're borrowing money from somewhere to pay off all these other ones so that you can have one payment with lower interest rate and lower minimum payment, but you're still making it. And that's something that LSS can help people do. I know that there's a ton of them out there. Like if you Google on the internet, like debt consolidation, and all these different places will be like, yes, we can, we can help you.
Yes.
Is that a smart choice for people to just go into, whatever they find, which I'm guessing the answer is no, going online and being like, I'm going to choose this one because it seems the best? Or would it be more in their benefit to talk to somebody that knows, what they're doing and what they're talking about for debt consolidation?
Yeah, I mean, the downside is debt settlement companies sound very similar to a debt management company, but a debt settlement company is nowhere near a debt management, because a debt settlement company will tell you, well, you're making one monthly payment to us, but you're paying less than what you owe. Isn't that great? Isn't that exactly what you want? But the reality is, you're paying this company, your creditors are not getting paid anything, so they're falling behind. So the reason why a debt settlement company can get less than what is owed is because they've essentially trashed your credit, haven't paid your debts, those debts have gone into collections, and now those debts are ready to accept less. So it has a ton of negative consequences doing a debt settlement company, whereas a debt management company keeps everything in good standing, and you're working towards paying it off. So I should say, a debt management company, we don't pay it off and then you owe us. You still owe the creditors directly. You're just paying through us, and that's what gets you the lower interest rates and the lower monthly payments. And because of that, you're getting the statement from your creditor each month and a statement from us, so that you can see, oh, Capital One says they were paid $100. LSS said, LSS says they paid $100. Perfect, it matches. And so that you can stay on track of it. Whereas a debt settlement company tells you, you sign over power of attorney to the settlement company, so you no longer get the statements. And that kind of takes it out of your control, to where when you're not seeing what's happening to your creditors, you can only rely on this third party agency that they're doing what is in your best interest, which unfortunately a lot of debt settlement companies are for profit, and for profit for a reason, whereas debt management companies are non-profit. So if you're looking at an agency and you're like, how can I tell if it's a debt management or if it's a debt settlement? The red flags are, does it get your debt paid off in full, or does it say that it's going to pay it off for less than what's owed? Less than what's owed, bad. Paying it off in full, good. Just to break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to
But
highlight, it's understandable that some people find there's no other option. Like, what do I do? I got all this debt. What do I
exactly.
do? And they go with that settlement. And yeah, what you don't realize is it's going to destroy your credit. It's going to, harm every relationship you have with whatever financial institution you work with,
Yep.
because you're not going to be able to really like get a loan or even like get much help if you're not making payments on things.
Yeah.
Your relationship's
Yep.
going to be, impacted by that negatively. So
Exactly.
it's understandable people, think maybe it's the only option, but our hope today is that you see another option, that there is debt management plans that is going to continue to help you to keep your credit, make payments, let you be in control, where you can get out of your situation without some of these negative impacts.
And teaches you,
Yep.
really, so that in the future
Yeah.
you have that tool of knowledge and experience now to guide your decisions.
It's just scary
Exactly.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
people are taking advantage of people at sometimes a really low point in their life, with all the different things that
Yeah.
can be happening to them that have put them in that spot. And
Yeah.
it's just,
Yep.
yeah, it's really discouraging. And so it's nice to know that there are people that care about the overall end results for people,
Yeah.
and that they matter. It
Yeah.
matters.
exactly. This may be a little
Yes.
extreme, but it is a little bit predatory, taking
Yeah.
advantage of
It
people who just are in a bad spot.
Yeah, for
it
sure.
is. I mean, and they're very like debt settlement companies are very pushy. Like they tell you that that's the only option, that's the best option, you know. They will tell you, well, that's what I would do. That's what I would want my mother to do or my kid to do or whatever. At a nonprofit like LSS, we're going to tell you here's the options. You know, we'll tell you like it looks like a debt management plan will work for you, but we can always talk about different options because ultimately we as counselors don't get anything for it. You know, like we get paid the same if you do a debt management plan, we get paid the same if you decide to do self payments and we walk you through how those look like. So it doesn't like we're not incentivized at all to push you towards one option. We are here for you to like find the best option that works for you. Like so I tell everybody like if you want to self-pay, I am down for that. I love figuring out like what a self-payment snowball payment looks like. I love helping people like, you know, be like, "Oh, and then, you know, here's the calendar of when you'll be done, and so the last 12 months make a paper chain and you can like you know
Yeah.
start cutting it off or whatever." And you know, because that's super exciting. I love helping people figure out like if you're going to talk to your bank and this is what you know or your credit union, I should say. If you're going to talk to your credit union and their interest rate is this, here's what that payment's going to look like. Make sure you know that's affordable before you talk to them. You
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're neutral. You're giving people the
Exactly.
actual help that they need and not just pushing them
Mm-hmm.
to get for your own, kind of like win for me, win for you, when really the
Right.
person that's struggling and in debt is not going to win when it's not about getting them out of debt.
Exactly.
How
Exactly. Because
do,
that's the goal.
yeah. Yeah, the goal is financial freedom.
Yes. Yes.
So how do people get a hold of you? What are a couple ways that people can get a hold of you
Yeah.
at LSS?
So LSS, because you guys are partnered with us, please do call the Financial Choice Scheduling Line. It's 1-800-528-2926. That's going to get you to a live person right away. If you go to our website, you're going to see an 888 number, which is fine. That gets to us, but you're going to go through a phone tree. Nobody likes a phone tree. So calling the 1-800-528-2926 gets you directly to a human right away, and that's just way easier. And you can let them know, hey, I want to set up an appointment. And the scheduler is going to be like, cool, what do you want to talk about? And we do debt and budget, we do housing counseling, we do student loan counseling, all the good stuff. And we do credit report reviews. That's the other one I was missing. And when they say, how did you hear about us? Make sure to mention you're a North Star
Yeah.
member, especially if you're doing student loan counseling, because unfortunately we are now charging for student loan counseling unless you're a financial choice member. So saying you're a North Star member, no fee. So
Yay.
please, we don't want to charge you a fee. Tell them you're a North Star member and there will be no fee. That is also what indicates that you're able to get those 6 free appointments. All good.
Is,
Awesome.
is there anything?
What's a good website?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Was there anything else that we didn't touch on this topic that you think would be important to express to the viewers, listeners?
I want people to like not be ashamed of the fact that they have debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's
like debt happens. Debt is
Yeah.
a part of life. It's not, you know, like when you come to LSS or, you know, go to Drew as a loan officer, that is not in any way a shameful thing. That is okay, I'm here and I'm looking for options to move forward. Like,
Yeah.
in no way, shape, or form is anybody going to shame you for how you got in debt,
Yeah.
because that's a past problem. Like that
Yeah.
that that means so little in this time. It's all about how do we move forward. Like the past is a past is all about like let's move forward from it. So I I understand that people feel shame. I get it. Like guess what? I've been in debt
Yeah.
too. Like I've had to get out of debt. Like that's partly what got me into this job is going, "Oh, this is like there's options out there." And so there shouldn't be shame around it because life happens. It should be you should feel empowered that you are getting help and that you are looking at what are my options so that you can make an informed decision moving forward.
I love that, April. I can feel that as you say that.
Yeah.
As someone who works with people who may be in bad spots, I do not think less of you. I think more of you
Exactly.
when you are, vulnerable enough to come to us and just say, like, I'm looking for some advice. We're happy to
Yes.
give it, and we think more of you if you're someone who's, um, brave enough to do that or bold enough, or I don't know if that's those right words, but it's just it's something to be commended
Yeah.
when people come in
Agreed.
or ask for some advice.
Yep.
Because there's just not, some of us just don't have a great education. It's again like through no fault of your own. There's no judgments. Um, this isn't just because of your decisions. Sometimes it's way outside of that, and we understand that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a human condition. Things
Yeah,
happen,
Yeah.
and some,
Yes.
like, yeah, you just don't know.
yeah. You said money is an emotional thing, and I just think that's so true. I think it can have an impact on our lives and our well-being and our happiness. And I think so often when you're feeling overwhelmed because of debt or whatever it might be, the feeling is being like out of control. And even if you're in debt, if you feel like you're in control, which I think is what you help April and LSS, like we want to put you back in control of your money. Even if you're in debt, at least you have a plan. Like, yeah, you're going to have your debt paid off by this time. At least you feel like there's a plan. I'm making progress. I'm in control. That's such a better feeling than being like, I am overwhelmed. I have no control over my money. That's, I think, the difference we want to make today, to allow people to feel more in control and more educated about, how do I get out of this and what can I do and
Yeah.
those sorts of
100%.
things.
And I would love to have April on again to talk about where people can save. I saw that you have a workshop where you could try to save that. Is it up to $1,000 that you're saving for a rainy day kind of thing?
Oh,
Yeah.
yep.
Like, how do you do that?
Yeah,
And navigate it all.
yeah. Yes, yes. I know my favorite SNL skit is the one with Steve Martin that's, like, don't buy stuff you can't afford. And Steve Martin goes, where do you get this saved money? So if you don't know it, YouTube it. It's great. I don't do a good impression of it, but it's amazing. So every time somebody is like, saved money, that's like the only thing I see. But it really is. It's just helping people, like change that concept of instead of an emergency fund being available credit on a credit card, it's money actually in the bank that's liquid, that is meant to be used. Like I have so many people that are like, well, I had savings and then this came up and that came up and I had to use it. I'm like, so it did its job. That's what savings was for. So that's a good thing, And now we're talking about how do we replenish that, and that's the conversation. I love having that way more than how to get out of debt, but both are
Yeah.
equally important.
Well, and
I can
replenish is a good
totally
word.
see. Yes, I was just going to say,
Yes.
I like that because I've been there too where I'm like, nah, I had all this saved and I was doing so good. And then I had to get tires and then this medical bill or whatever. And now I have nothing and but you're right. Saving that money paid those. It did its job. And now I just have to replenish it and not feel bad about having to use it because that is what it's for.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I think the conversation with you feels like that too. Just replenish, like it's a good keyword to focus on
Yeah.
how this makes you feel, knowing that there is light and hope and possibility and potential to
Yes.
plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Replenish and refresh.
Yeah, again, we're all here
Exactly.
cheering for you guys, you know. I mean, we want the best for you and your financial well-being and peace of mind and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Reduce the anxiety, reduce the fear.
Yeah.
And never fear,
Yes.
April is here.
Yeah, I love
There you
it.
go.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I love it. No,
I got to do one an episode.
I have a lot of people that will set up an appointment but then not show because they're scared, they're like really nervous about, they think I'm going to yell at them. I'm like, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to yell at you.
Yeah.
I'm like only going to talk to you about, okay, here's where you are now. Here's where your options are. Let's talk about how to move forward. What do you want to do to move forward?
I love it.
Yep.
Good.
You're an incredible resource person, April. Thanks again for joining the podcast today. I do feel like this is one of those episodes that we could go like an hour.
Yeah.
I just think this is so important, and you're such a great, resource for it. So, but yeah, we do want to wrap this up. Was there anything else that we wanted to mention today before we say goodbye and wish everyone well?
I think, April, could you throw out that number again and a website maybe?
Yeah.
Or,
Yep.
of course, if you come into a branch at North Star Credit Union in Cook, Duluth, Nashwauk, and Mountain Iron, we can, of course, set you up and help you navigate getting in touch with April. But for listeners and viewers, April, what is a couple ways to contact you? One more time.
Yep. So our scheduling line is 1-800-528-2926. Let them know that you're a North Star member, and you can either set up a full appointment to dive into your overall situation, or you can ask to talk to a counselor on call, which is just for that, like, I don't need a full appointment, but I have a quick question, or I want to learn more about something. So counselor on call is kind of like a quick, here I just have a couple questions. And then we do have the website, LSS, so Lutheran Social Service, LSSMN.org, and you can even do /North Star, and that's going to get you right to the North Star co-branded landing page for LSS, tell you all about everything.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
also want to mention if you want to see April in person, come to our annual meeting. April's going to be one of the presenters at our annual meeting for the North Star Credit Union, which is September 30th, and that's at the Community Center in Cook. Is that right?
Yep, at 5:30 p.m. we start with some
5:30?
delicious food and 6 o'clock meeting.
Yes. It's always
So
a
yeah,
great time. I
come meet
love
April,
going there.
come listen to April. Yeah, you've been a presenter, I feel like, a number of years, and for good reason. You're a good one to have.
I just go for the food, so
You and me both.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's what, like less than a week away or a week away. What was the date again on that?
the 30th. So
The 30th,
just-
yeah. About a week away. Well, awesome. Well, thank you again. We really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you,
and
April.
Thank
Members,
you
we're here
guys.
for
Thank
ya.
so much.
You're another one we hope to have back at some point. This was
Yeah,
a lot of
for
fun,
sure.
and again, I think a great help for our members and listeners. What I wanted to say in conclusion, again, like if you are someone who listens or follows the podcast, we would love to know that. Again, maybe the way you can do that is by, subscribing, liking, comments. You can just see like thank you. Tell April, that we're grateful for her presence today and her knowledge. But also, like, if you even disagree, like maybe you're someone who did debt settlement and it was a success. Like, we want to hear everything, good, bad, whatever it is. We would love your feedback on the podcast. So just wanted to throw that in there as well before you ended the day. Let us know if you're a listener or viewer. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Tune in Fridays for new episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and coming soon to Apple. Or find the link on our website, northstarcreditunion.org.